I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians and the land that we all meet and gather today, and acknowledge their continuing connection to land, water, and customs. We'd like to pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. We're really excited tonight because you're going to be joined for the first time by a whole band for our music act. The band's called In Heart's Wake. They're pretty rad, and you're going to hear from them right now. Hey guys, how's it going? Hello. This is amazing because it's the first time we're having a full band for Climate Fridays. So glad it's you, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to let you guys do what you do best and just sit back and enjoy.
Straight into it.
Thanks, Catchy.
All right. Too much and I'm tearing on like a worn out knife. I've become so dull. It's easier to shut out the world and be a monster, and fly harder with no armor to mine. I still pour myself into songs. Am I running up a living on? I still lyrics say it's better to burn out than to fade away. I'm tired of the way how the street dance in the slow ballet. The twists and turns, they're beating me down. I'm following step by leg. Shine down, goodbye to rotate. The page is serving, it's always the same. Someone give me direction. Someone give me a sign. I feel no connection. Just walking the line. 'Cause it's easier to shut out the world and be a monster. And I do with no honor to be human. It's easier to shut out the world and be a monster, and far harder with no armor to be human. I still pour myself in a song. Am I running up on everything on? I still hear him say it's better to burn out than to fade away.
1, 2, 3,
I'm starting to waste away. I'll be the street dancing. The twists and turns, they're beating me down. I'm following stars by late. Shine down, goodbye to the rotate. The page is turned, but it's always the same.
That was so sick. Thank you so much for that. Holy, thank you so much, In Heart's Wake, bringing us amazing music for Climate Fridays, our first full band, setting the bar pretty high as well for having a full band performance. So thank you so much. I wanted to ask you guys, well, first of all, say congratulations for your latest album, which has come out. and also the fact that you've done something quite incredible with carbon offsetting. Jake, I wanted to ask you a little bit about this, and knowing that your music revolves around like elements, the like elements of the world, has making an album that's green been or has always been on the band's mind, or was this just like a new kind of fun process for you?
I think it was part of the evolution of the band, going through the elements. And we started with the earth element 7 years ago, and getting to know earth, and then getting to know air, and then doing stuff for the waters. We helped clean up the marine debris and the beaches and the waterways of Australia. And leading into the fire and all that happened with the fires last year, it was just the next step for us to see, hey, how can we reduce our impact? Yeah.
You guys have been touring for quite a long time and playing at festivals as well. How do you see the impact of the music industry on the kind of environmental, what are the environmental impacts that you see that the music brings, being involved in that kind of stuff?
The fans, the people in the audience are incredible at wanting to be a part of the change and being part of the solution. I've looked at a few studies and I've seen that, you know, the movements of the crowds that come to festivals are a huge part of the impact the music industry has. And so having the willingness of so many people wanting to be part of the solution is fantastic to see. And there's amazing solutions that are coming forth. And with the artists now, not influencing, but you know, making a bit more of a stand, saying, hey, no more plastic on our riders. And we want to, you know, do less blowing up things and more about the art and how can we bring that impact down is really powerful to see. And I think I'm very hopeful because all the creatives, we all rely on the planet and we all want to continue to dance and go to shows, and we recognize that we need a planet to do that. So I see, yeah, very hopeful.
Did it surprise you the amount of like CO2 emissions that are created when it comes to putting an album together, or was that something you always kind of knew?
To be honest, I don't think we had any idea. No idea about what it would be. It was a total experiment for ourselves to see if we can even find a way to calculate it.
Yeah.
The part that surprised us the most was that more than half of the emissions for the album were from the flights. That was the big part. So if you can record at home, if you can find ways to travel less in the recording process, you can actually reduce the impact your album has.
How does a band go about like? I read somewhere that you were like even checking power sockets, like going hardcore into it. Like what? How do you do all that?
You get a power reader, and you get crazy scientific hair, drink a lot of coffees, and you run around the studio, trying to get readings on what an 8-hour day is.
Yeah.
And looking at all the different rooms and just saying, oh, that's interesting. It's actually quite similar than the day before. And you work out an average, and then you multiply that by the amount of days. And then you start to get an output of electricity. And then we went and took all of these calculations to an incredible woman who lives here in Byron Bay called Grace Gallagher. And she's our earth accountant. We've coined that phrase. Kyle,
Good one, Kyle.
Yeah, Grace is epic.
Grace is cool. And she plugged all that information in and, generated the output.
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit more about the Yarra Yarra Biodiversity Corridor in Western Australia?
Sure can. So the album process to create the new record, Kali Yuga, 26.7 tons, but the smallest you can actually buy when you go to buy carbon credits is 27 tons, we found out, which is pretty close.
Yeah.
So the 27 tons of CO2 that we acquired in terms of sequestered, we chose a project in Western Australia in the Yarra Yarra Biodiversity Corridor. And the reason why we chose that project in particular was because it had so many co-benefits. It wasn't just pay here and we'll offset it. It was planting on First Nations land with jobs, sequestering old farmlands that had gone barren, basically, and therefore all the animals and all the flora and fauna can come back. And so just all of the co-benefits, it was a no-brainer from the projects we had to choose from. That's why we chose that one.
Awesome. That's so cool to know. And hopefully this is like something that becomes more natural for more and more bands to do as we kind of move forward into the future and taking care of our planet. Is that what you kind of hope, or have you heard about other bands being interested in the process that you've taken part in?
Yeah, we've been hit up by a couple bands, actually, a few names, just inquiring for more information. And we're certainly not experts on it, I can tell you that much. But we're just like curious people on a journey, I'd like to think. And we're falling over here and there, but we're learning, and it's exciting and it's new. And I would love, to somehow find a way where we can all share that, hopefully next year, in some sort of a blueprint, perhaps, or at least share the knowledge that we learned of how we did it, because there's many other ways, no doubt.
Yeah.
I think labels will do it as well, not just the artists. It'd be nice to see labels almost putting it into record contracts and agreements, saying, hey, we'll also do this if we can take on this project. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, that would be amazing. And I think this is a really great step forward for our industry. I'm going to bring two more amazing people into the conversation from Seed Mob. I've got Kachmir Russell here to chat about what's happening with that organisation, as well as our school striker for climate, Kayla Hill, as well. Thank you so much for joining us on Climate Fridays. Kachmir Russell, I want to find out a little bit about you. This is the first time that we've chatted for Climate Fridays. So I was wondering if you could tell us who you are and some background information to what's been happening with Seed Mob from your end.
Yeah, hi, Kia Wo. My name is Kachmir, and I'm a proud Juma-Midang woman of the Yamadang Nations down in northeastern Victoria and the western slopes of Kosciuszko. And I've been involved with Seed Mob for almost 2 years now, I think. And a bit of background to the campaign is currently the biggest. Seed Mob's main campaign right now is fighting and tackling Origin Energy and their fracking in the Northern Territory, up in the Beetaloo and MacArthur Basin. And our primary focus is just essentially to stop them fracking, and then an end goal to have land rights back, and moratorium ban on fracking reinstated, I think. But yeah, that's our main campaign right now that we're really working towards.
Yeah, can I ask, how did you get involved with Seed Mob?
Yeah, as soon as I moved to university, I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be involved in fighting for country. I've always been really, really passionate about the environment, geography, my land, and my Indigenous heritage. And I didn't really have an ability to get involved with that until I went to university. And then at uni, I found out about AY, Australian Youth Climate Coalition, and Space, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Space, which is an amazing organisation. And here in Canberra, I just got very quickly involved as a volunteer, and now I also work for them as a tele-fundraiser. But yeah, it was best stumbling across of an organisation that I could have possibly done.
Yeah, that's so cool. And also, Kayla Hill, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Climate Fridays.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you about, not Seed Mob, about School Striker for Climate, and find out how you first got involved and what are some of the exciting things that you've been a part of.
Yeah, so I've been involved with School Strike for Climate for over a year now, and I joined right before the September 20 strike in 2019, and there was a huge amount of people who started getting involved in Sydney, and ever since I've been working with such amazing people and just growing as an activist, and it's been great. So recently we've been working on the Fund Our Future Not Gas campaign, and if you saw on our socials, the federal government just approved the Narrabri gas project, which is absolutely terrible. So we're continuing our fight. We want to keep our solidarity up for First Nation justice and climate justice, and do everything we can to keep going and have a safe future.
How does it feel for you to hear bands are taking on the initiative to be more conscious about their environmental impact?
Yeah, I think it's so amazing. Music is a really vital part of bringing people together, especially through when we were all in lockdown, that was who we went to and who we reached out to stay connected and keep going. And they are part of us uniting and continuing our fight for climate justice. So I think it's incredible.
Yeah, I'm going to throw this question out to everyone. As we've heard, the government's investing more in gas energy and not looking at more greener opportunities of energy. How does it feel for all of you as we're heading into summer after having such horrific fires at the beginning of this year?
It's a little disheartening, honestly. It feels like a backward step, or perhaps backward 6 steps. But not that there's any silver lining in that, but it's showing us what we don't want. And I like that it's uniting the people to come together about something that we feel is not supporting a future, not supporting a planet that we want to continue to live on.
Yeah. Hatchme, can I ask you, when things like this happen, how can people help with your campaign that you're doing in the NT to come up against big organisations?
Yeah, I guess relating this to the other question as well, when the news came out that they were supporting the gas industry, it really meant that we had to up our campaign even more, not only just to target Origin Energy, but also to target the government, because they then are actively supporting Origin Energy and going against everything that we fought for to this point in time. And so we've been really trying to focus on that in a two-pronged manner, both continuing to sort of damage the reputation of Origin Energy as a clean energy company and use customers as like their power as consumers to talk about their dissatisfaction with Origin Energy and the government and their plan to like subsidize the gas industry. And also target the fact that future customers have a power in where their money goes. And so they can really sort of influence both Origin Energy and therefore the government. If Origin Energy doesn't have the funding to do fracking and the government is the only people subsidizing it, it's going to fall through at the end of the day. And that's like the financial background to that, I guess.
I mean, from listening to... sorry, Jake, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, we had a huge coal seam gas fracking. It was huge here in the Byron Shire like a few years ago, and I remember the people coming together, bumper stickers everywhere, no fracking way, all kinds of signs out the front of people's houses, and it made a difference, it pushed them out. The people really, really have a say at the end of the day. And it's important to reinstate that and put the hope out there that we have so much to say as citizens of the country.
Yeah. I can see both Catchma and Kayla like nodding and smiling to that sentiment. Kayla, that definitely seems like something you feel empowered by, especially with the work that Climate Strike for Friday have done.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what are some of the exciting things that you've got coming up? I know we've got like campaigns and things that we can help out with, but what do you encourage people to do to kind of help share this energy that that we're talking about and move the people to do the right things?
Definitely just keep on educating yourselves and going to protests and spreading the word and just learning more and more about climate justice, about First Nations justice, and using your privilege to do everything you can and make sure that voices are heard, especially BIPOC voices.
Fantastic. There's so many great things that Seed Mob are doing, and I just wanted to kind of like briefly do a call out to how people can write letters and find out how to support campaigns that the amazing Seed Mob organisation are doing. If you go to seedmob.org.au, there's at least 5 campaigns that you can jump on, as well as a letter of how to address Origin Energy if you're quite nervous or don't know how to do that. They've got this amazing step-by-step process. What was it like putting all of that together, Catchmere, like showing people that they've got power in their hands through the work that you guys do?
it's I always find that just sort of inspiring people, the fact that they have that power of change as customers has come a long way. I know that when I'm like talking to people about the work that we do, a lot of them just don't know that Origin are fracking because they've got this idea that they're this renewable energy company, and so you hit them with the facts like the fracking in the in the Beetle and MacArthur Basin gas reserves would produce like 5 times the amount of emissions as Adani's coal mine or Bravos coal mine. And they're gobsmacked because that's just the emissions output. That doesn't take into account the damage to the water systems, the environment, the local people, and things like that. And they realize that this is such a big issue and that they as consumers have the power to switch energy providers and make it known why they are switching, or to actively tell Origin Energy when Origin Energy are putting out their sort of advertising that we're not going to choose you because of the disrespect that you show to Indigenous people or First Nations people and the environment and our future. Because when people feel empowered, the fact that change is in their own hands, they can actively move forward much more smooth and personal way because they have that power themselves and they can see what they do and how it affects the grand scheme of things.
Yeah. I mean, Jake, as you said, you guys were a part of pushing that from happening in your own with Byron Shire. How did the community come together and kind of get everyone behind stopping that from happening?
I remember lots of protests, rallies coming together, the local papers amplifying that. I remember being part of that. That was around the pre-Tony Abbott. It's a little while ago. I was younger then, and it made a difference. The community meetings, just face to face, people talking, people sharing, and having conversation with your families and the ones around you. It ripples outwards. It really does. It makes a difference.
Did you feel empowered when it came through and you could make an impact like that?
Yeah, seeing that things matter, seeing that people's voices were heard was very, very cool. We weren't involved as a band at the time with that as much. It was much in our earlier phases, but it was starting to show us that our own beautiful, area and these lands that we are lucky to be living on currently, were under threat. And when that idea of the things that we, love to come back to after being away on tour and traveling around to city after city is gonna be damaged, it really starts to hit home.
Can I ask for you playing live and with the consideration of how this album was made? I know I previously asked you about conversations you're having with other bands, but is this also bringing up conversations for your fans, like making them more conscious about the environment?
I think that it's probably generating ripples and waves, but we're like, it's got to be said, we're not perfect and we don't want to be like pointing the finger or saying you should be doing this. This is just us going on our little journey. If it changes one person or one fan, that's fantastic. If not, perhaps it just raises awareness at the end of the day. I'd like to think that it is changing a few, but we haven't unfortunately been able to get out and really be with our fans this year. So usually those stories and those connections really come out face to face, and I can't wait till that actually happens.
Yeah. Kayla, I was wondering, Jake brought up a really good point about like this need to be like the fear of not like knowing everything and stuff like that. As a young person, was that kind of a fear that you had getting into School Striker?
Yeah, definitely. For like the first 6 months that I was involved in School Strike, that was like my first time that I'd ever gotten involved in activism and politics. And I do have to say that I was quite naive and I didn't have a very well-rounded perspective of the world and how everything worked. But as time went on, I learnt more and I've become more understanding and open to new ideas. And I think just being patient with yourself and being open-minded and always making sure that you're learning and educating yourself is just it's really important. And just always making sure that you're listening to others and hearing from different perspectives. But yeah, it's okay to not always know everything. It's it's always a journey, and no matter how you get there, as long as you're doing it to improve yourself. Yeah.
That's actually a really gorgeous sentiment. I wish somebody had told me that when I was younger, when I was first getting into activism, because I think that's sometimes the thing that makes people very nervous when they begin with. But I feel like making mistakes is a part of it, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Are you excited for 2021, hopefully when we all get allowed back out into the streets to rally and to really show those protests?
Yes, definitely. I've heard so many of my friends and on social media how everyone wants to get involved again, but they don't know how, they don't know what to do. So I'm hoping that with COVID restrictions loosening and everyone being much safer, we're able to get back on the streets and let our voices be heard.
It's fantastic. Catch me, I can see you like nodding this massive grin on your face. I could see that you're so excited for these like fiery young people coming up and coming through.
Yeah, I think that it's been amazing doing campaigning in an online setting. It's been very challenging trying to run campaigns and have them just as hard hitting as usual. But I am excited to have the full range of capabilities back and being able to protest in the street outside Origin Energy's offices.
Oh, I think potentially that the Wi-Fi is being a bit jumpy.
In a way that media can often struggle. Different groups of people get in different ways, and protest can be really powerful.
Cool. Sorry, I think we had a bit of a screen freeze there. Apologies. I wish. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, I think Katru might like jump back
That's
on.
for us. We play the call waiting.
Oh, sorry.
No, we imagine that we have the call waiting music
we're
ready to
ready
go.
to go.
Something a little softer. I just would love to say September last year, 2019, I was in New York City, and I was very lucky to be part of that huge rally that Greta led. That kind of felt like it was one of the ripples that really started that. You know, it really went everywhere worldwide with all of the strikes, and seeing so many like young, diverse, beautiful people out on the streets with signs going like really passionate and into it. It's one thing talking about it, but seeing it and being there and feeling that energy was so palpable, and I felt so much hope. And before that, I think there was a lot of an overwhelming feeling of like, what can I do, or it's not enough. And you start to see that everyone were playing a part in the bigger picture, but they also were sticking to their little thing. Their sign was on something specific, and it was all relating back to the whole of the planet. And hearing Greta speak down there in the park, Battery Park, in New York City, the view of the women in their, let's say, 50s, 60s, were saying that this was kind of like a Martin Luther King moment, where they just felt that energy, this surge, change was coming. And I pulled out my phone and I got to record. I recorded Greta's "Our House is on Fire" speech. 2 weeks later, we were all in the studio in Michigan recording this new record, and we used that voice recording on my phone to start the record. And it just goes to show that, her starting that, leading to that, all of the people coming together, then ending up in albums. It's amazing how those ripples by small actions really have.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like, I do feel like Greta Thunberg, as well as in Australia, like having school striker and seeing the city stand still and fight for this environment was so amazing to see. I know as well, like Seed Mob, you're a young, driven by youth-led campaigns. But can I ask you, Kashmir, like, what are some of the evolutions that you've seen with people who have become involved with Seed Mob? Like, what have been the ripples for you?
I myself have come a long way from getting involved with Seed Mob. We have amazing upskilling and training that goes on. I've been to so many regional trainings, and I just understand like the systems of power and structure, and how I can use my time best to be an activist, and at the same time look after myself, because you can't look after your own country if you can't look after yourself, because like you are one and the same, and it's just very self-destructive. But I've seen people become really inspired, and the connections across this country um, that I've been able to form through my work with Seed Mob has been amazing. Connecting with mob all around, and that's just, it's so able to kind of heights.
Great. I feel like Kayla as well. Like, have you made like lifelong connections through your? Sorry, I just had a blank. Have you made lifelong connections as well through environmental activism?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, as well as my growth as an activist, as I first started getting involved, I've also grown as a person. I'm just so much more open, and I've got so many good relationships with other activists from even like across the country and across the world, and it's just such an empowering and great part of being a climate activist. And yeah, I think that's one of the things that keeps me going, especially when I'm feeling really frustrated and down about the lack of action that we do get sometimes. And yeah, they really push me and help me keep going. So I'm really glad to have that.
That's so beautiful. Thank you so much. I think we're going to jump into another song. And I know Catchmere is no longer on screen, but I'd really love to thank Catchmere Russell from Seed Mob and their amazing campaigns you can find on their website, seedmob.org.au. There's 5 campaigns going at the moment, as well as an Origin letter, which you can copy and paste and send to Origin. Even as an Origin user, or even if you're not, just put the pressure on, because we want this nation to be a sustainable one. Also would love to say thank you so much to Kayla Hill for providing so many lovely stories, and just, your experience is so reinvigorating, I think, for us to hear and kind of know that there's this amazing young generation coming through that are really ambitious in wanting to take care of the land. So thank you so much to Catchmere and to Kayla. We're going to finish things off with some great music yet again for Climate Fridays. Really excited about this, and thank you so much for joining us, as well as our first ever band. It's been sick.
Thank you. We'll have to do a little set change. Give us one sec.
Yeah, fair.
But thank you for having us. It's been great. This is live in my lounge room, my parents' lounge room, in the Buncha, on Rockwell Bunjalung country. And it's been a pleasure. Yeah, so thank you. So this one is going to have, it's a little bit different. We're going to we are a metal band, by the way. So we're going to throw some screams into an acoustic track. Something a bit different, because some things need to be screamed loud. Sometimes we can't be silent. Am I right, Ben?
Correct. That's what Ben always says.
That's what Ben always says.
Yeah.
Give me a hot minute.
Would you like me to press the button?
You can press the button if you feel like. Let me get this car. Check, check, check.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Ready?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. This one's called Son of a Witch.
Did I do it? Yeah, it's gone.
Bring me back down and save me from this hell! So are you listening? 'Cause 'cause I got something to say about every single person that got caught in the fray.
Ready to brave face, but it's getting harder to take the blame.
Falsely accused, battered and bruised, consequences of a power misused.
I'm dying to move on, but everything's going up in flames.
Only I could save you.
Winds of change that rearrange, bring me back to life. Now I'm letting go of the world I know. Held me to the knife, I need gravity.
Bring me back down, bring me back
I
down.
need gravity.
Bring me back down.
To save me from this hell.
So back up, listen and learn. Those twisted dark days must never return.
Trying to scream out, but it's getting harder to breathe the air.
Why don't you step up to the funeral pyre? Is the faces you see really worthy of fire?
Down, but there's no one fucking there.
If only I could save you.
Winds of change that rearrange, bring me back to life. Now I'm letting go of the world I know. Held me to the knife, I need gravity.
Bring me back down, bring me back
I
down.
need gravity.
Bring me back down and save me. You walk through fire, but you never learn. One step past the point of no return. You walk through fire, but I never learn. I'm the son of a wish you fail to burn.
Winds of change that rearrange, bring me back to life. Now I'm letting go of the world I know. Held me to the knife, I need gravity.
Bring me back down, bring me back
I
down.
need gravity.
Bring me back down.
To save me from this hell.
Thank you.
That is amazing. Thank you so much. In Heart's Wake, bringing acoustic metalcore to Climate Fridays. Maybe you could do like a
Thanks for having us.
acoustic album just starting a marketing plan for you right now. No, that was brilliant. Thank you so much for joining
You're
us.
hired.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us for Climate Fridays and also sharing your story about your new album, Kali Yuga, and bringing, I guess, to the forefront as well conversations around the fires that have happened this year, along with like how artists are trying to change the carbon footprint that they leave in this industry. Really, really appreciate the time that you've taken as well to set up and bring us a full live band.
You're welcome.
Rad, so rad. I loved it so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for everyone for tuning in. This is Climate Fridays, where we come together to talk about ways in which we can kind of inspire people to be environmental activists. If you want to jump on board and help out SeedMob with some of their positions, their website is seedmob.org.au. There's a list of 5 amazing campaigns that you can be a part of, as well as that Origin Energy letter. And if you want to find out more about green music and what they do, greenmusic.org.au is the new website, and that will also lead you to amazing campaigns and amazing people like In Our Hearts Wake, who have made a carbon neutral album. Ketchy Nelly is my name. It's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you this Friday. We'll see you next week. Stay safe. Goodbye. Bye.